My name's John Heath, and I'm the CEO of Learning Techniques. And Learning Techniques is an applied research company that was formed in 1988. We had two goals. We wanted to know why seemingly bright people struggle with learning, and the second goal was to find out how to fix those weaknesses that they had so they could use their full potential.
I've always been concerned about children in special ed programs, that we call them at that time, that seemed like when they were identified as special ed students, that seemed to be a label that stuck with them all through their school years. And I thought there must be a better way of approaching these students.
In 1989, the Moccasin Fredonia School District heard about our research and asked if we could initiate that program in a school setting. So we created a program called Intercept, where before we had worked with one child at a time. Now we were working with a group of children, and so the magnitude of the success was bigger and it was more exciting.
We found that as the students participated in these exercises, a number of things happened. One, for some reason, their reading ability seemed to improve. They were able to recognize letters. Any tendencies toward dyslexia disappeared, and they seemed to be more well-adjusted in the classroom.
Superintendent Eberhard asked us to work with 6 students, and these were students who were not successful students. They were in resource classes.
We took children and worked with them in a way completely different than what has ever been worked with before.
As we worked with them, it didn't take very long until they began to be able to turn teaching into learning in multiple areas.
For some reason, the exercises that they did not only affected their mind, but affected their physical abilities. They could skip, which they couldn't do before. They could throw a ball, or they could do some things that they had troubles doing before.
It was an overall change. Their demeanor changed, their ability to read, their ability to spell, their ability to be able to remember.
What happened after we were using this program for a number of years is that we almost did away with our special education program, because we were able to identify students at a young age, address these neurological or these brain processes in such a way that they were able to function in the classroom as normal students.
Well, when parents started to see successes occur, they were real excited about their children, and they couldn't wait to tell other parents about what was happening to their child. And of course, when they told other parents, then those parents would come to the school and they would wait in line for their turn.
Learning Techniques is different from the regular school programs that we had for addressing students with special ed concerns, because it dealt not with reading abilities or math abilities or those types of things, but it dealt with neurological differences.
The students that we would work with always had a multiplicity of problems, and not always the same problems, so they were different problems. But these are some of the problems that you would see often. Difficulty with concentration, visual memory, remembering what things look like, spelling, short-term memory. And it wasn't that they weren't trying it, and it wasn't that they weren't bright, it's that their brain wouldn't capture that information and hold it such that they could retrieve it at will.
I haven't seen anything like this in my further experience in working with the school systems. That's one of the reasons that when I left Fredonia, when I went to another school district in eastern Wyoming, we saw some of the same problems. And so, again, I called upon Learning Techniques to come in to do the same types of things, and the same results appeared. We also experimented at that time with some students in the upper grade levels who were special ed. So we wondered, is this just for kids who are having some problems to start with, or would this work also with students who have had problems for a number of years? And in one case especially, we found one student who was in the 8th grade that was very concerned about going into high school. He knew that he had some problems in learning, and we were able to take him through the Intercept program to where his reading improved by 3 grade levels, and his other skills also, and his self-confidence and self-esteem, so that when he went into high school, he was not classified as a special ed student anymore.
Other educators heard about what we were doing and the success we were having, and they approached us about putting it into their school.
When we started the Intercept program, we started with 10 to 12 students. They were pulled out of class for a half hour to an hour a day. Even though some of the exercises were different than what you'd normally see in a school, the parents were really kind of desperate. We started to see that the students were, starting to read better, and they were starting to do math better, and they were, more excited about coming to school. They looked forward to it. We were able to see a change in those kids of what we would have predicted. Middle school kids, lots of them were on the honor roll. High school kids that were graduating with honors and getting scholarships. If you gave them grade levels, most of these kids would have been D-level students and getting along with peers. When we were done with the program of learning techniques, and by a year later, there'd be A students in getting along with peers. And as that happened, then we saw the fights on the playground go down. We saw the tears about not wanting to go to school disappear, and a whole lot of happy parents, confident in themselves and not having that stigma, not being able to learn. Then that power of being a friendly person and a successful person came out. It was always there, but it had been just buried and packed deep because they had never been successful. The word got around that, if your child got to be in learning techniques, they were lucky, that it was a good place to be, and they would come out better because of it. I see the young people that went through learning techniques just on a daily basis. We see each other at church, we see each other at the store, and where I would have been, skeptical about their success in life, lots of them own businesses, they have, good jobs, they have good families, some of them are professional people, some of them are in the trades. They've turned out as being very successful adults. I attribute a lot of that to having been through the Learning Techniques program and learning how to learn. I went to a conference that was held for 2 or 3 years called Innovations in Education. At one point they had me present them, and there was a person there who was tied into a conference that was going to be held in Oxford, at Oxford University in England. And my name was given to them, and so they contacted me and asked me to put together what I had done previously in innovations in education and learning techniques. And I put together the research that we had conducted, wrote up a paper and submitted that, which they accepted and asked me if I would come to Oxford and make that presentation. And so learning techniques helped me go, and the school district let me out of school for a week and went to Oxford and made a couple presentations, and as well as question and answer periods, and it was really well received, both by international people and other schools in the United States.
One of the real interesting schools was the Morgan Elementary School in Morgan, Utah. The principal of that school was a retired superintendent. He found us, found the Intercept program, and he said, I'd like to do that in my school. I'd like to do a study. So we did a study. The Morgan Elementary School is a rural school, a small school, and so we had to find another small school that we could use in the study. So the Morgan Elementary School was the program school. Delta East Elementary School was the control school. And so we had the same number of students in both places, same number of females and males. And so we pre-tested all of them. And then we did the Intercept program. Morgan and at Delta East, they worked with their children in the normal way. And then they tested them when we finished. And the average improvement was about a 2-year gain in that 1 year's time for kids who were in the past had been gaining about a half a year's education for a full year of trying.
If I could put into words what learning techniques has brought to the young people in our schools, would be a sense of accomplishment, a sense of success, and that has bared out in successful adults, successful families, successful moms and dads.